This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. And for the first time in 2021, I'm joined by Dec Spelman over Zoom. Dec, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to yourself, mate. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Good to hear, mate. I know you're in the same boat as many, but I've asked everybody so far, so I'll ask you as well. Could you do much or did you get up to much over the festive period?
No, steady, very steady. Had my boy over Christmas and just had a bit of family time. Went down to Christmas, went down to mum's on the Christmas day. Apart from that, it was steady away, really. Yeah.
Must be nice in one aspect that kind of knowing that you didn't have anything to prepare for in 2021 so far. You could actually enjoy Christmas Day, whereas you had some fighters, especially the guys who have just had the news that no boxing in January, they'd been dieting over Christmas, which I personally could never imagine giving up my turkey, which is why I'm not a fighter, mate.
Yeah, I mean, look at David from our gym, over from Russia. He meant to fight Josh Kelly, and then he's been away from his family, New Year, Christmas. I mean, that must be terrible. And then, I mean, the fight's still on, but he's had such sacrifices through Christmas and New Year, and then to get that news must be awful.
Yeah, well, obviously we'll come on to David and obviously how he's feeling in a short while. But just to maintain the course of a normal interview and to stick with yourself, Dec, um, even though it may not have been a successful one for you, you had effectively you had a busy 2020. You was able to get out twice. You was able to fight. Granted, the leading names in the light heavyweight division domestically. Reflecting on it now, what's kind of your thoughts on your 2020?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a crazy one, really, and it went from like going into like the lockdown and then not really knowing if we were going to box at all, if any boxing was going to happen at all in the year, and then to going from like there's a whisper of a few shows here and there, and then see Carl's gym was completely closed, like a lot of people. I mean, and I think it was before the Linden fight. I wasn't doing anything really. I was ticking over, keeping my running up here and there, but it's not. I had no drive because didn't genuinely think I'd be fighting. So it's mainly it's a lesson taught, I suppose. It's one of them. But I took my opportunities when they come. I don't think many people would have, but I seen an opportunity, and don't get it wrong. Them two fights, I honestly thought I could win, which I would, and especially the second one. I think there's some debate in it anyway, but can't cry over spilt milk. But yeah, I mean, Linda's a very good kid, top line. He showed that. You know what I mean? He showed that, and I knew he would. I knew getting out of the ring. I said in previous interviews, well before the fight was even made, like I rated Lyndon as one of the best in Britain anyway. So for me to share a ring with him and engage where I am in my own career at this kind of time, it was good for me and it was good for my self satisfaction, to be honest. So I only grew confidence from that. And obviously the Yarde fight, that was a bit. Oh, it's gone. Yeah. So, and then the Yarde fight was, I was a bit sour about that, but it is what it is. Earned a few quid out of it, I suppose. And then that was my sweetener. But I do genuinely believe I'd love a second shot at him. But I'd never get it. But I'd love a second shot at Yarde.
Dec, let's come on to it's 2021 now. What's kind of your plans for this year? Because the domestic scene at light heavyweight, there's so many fights for so many. You yourself, you're Craig Richard, Shakan Peters, just on the back of a loss, who you've obviously fought again previously. Anthony Yarde, Lyndon Arthur, Liam Conroy. There's so many names out there which you could fight. What's your plans moving into this year? What would you like to achieve? I know it's hard because of a pandemic, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, if we weren't in the middle of the pandemic, I'd go back to a small show ideally, build my son up, maybe even an area title. I'll take that if it was a good fight, and then English eliminator, English title. I'd love to go back down that route, but we're not in a realistic world at the minute. So once again, I'm always going to be the B side. So I don't have a TV promoter. Do you know what I mean? I don't have the bigger guys in my corner as such. So I've just got to take the opportunities. I can't. I listen to their tune. I've got to take the opportunities when they come. It's I enjoyed Christmas. I've enjoyed a lot of time with family and doing what I want to do. I suppose the past few months made some big changes, to be honest, in my life. So now I'm going to concentrate on. Do you know what I mean? I'm back in the gym now, and get my weight down a bit, and then if that phone call does come, whether it be light heavy or even at cruiser, we'll have a look. You know what I mean? And we'll have a look at cruiserweight. But I don't know. I'm not crossing anything out. But I'll get back in the gym like I have done now, and if anything comes up, then we'll see.
I don't think many would assume you'd look to move to cruiser, at least that on the back of obviously the last year you've had. How would you feel you'd cope at that weight?
They're very big lads out there. They're very big. But I mean, there's talk of the putting in that other weight in there. So
Yeah, bridge your
you
weight.
know, so I don't know. It's a big gap from 12.7 to 14.4. To make 12.7 is hard alongside working and stuff like that. And I don't know. It is tough. But then anything above it. I mean, when I boxed Yarde at 12.12, I felt great. You know what I mean? So it's one of them really. But I don't know. That's the kind of sport we're in. Sometimes I've heard the saying, if you're not struggling to make weight, you're not in the right weight, basically. And I know a lot of fighters what do struggle. So I don't know if it comes, the right opportunity comes. Yeah, definitely I'm at 12.7. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. I've had a word with Carl, and Carl said similar things. It's just the big boys at 14.4, tall, big set. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm not rolling it out, but we'll see.
Dec, you've had 3 tough fights back to back, as we mentioned. You had Shakan Peters at the end of 2019, and then Yarde and Arthur last year. Any regrets in kind of the decisions to take on those fights, or are you still happy with obviously not the outcomes of those, but certainly having fought them?
Yeah, I mean, for the Shaq fight, for my first defence in English, was a bit silly, really, looking back at it. I could have sat on it. We knew that Boatsy would have vacated the British. I could have had a voluntary. That was a voluntary. The Shaq was a voluntary fight. So, it was an opportunity to fight on a Warren show. And they were like, you kind of have to take them opportunities when they come. And, so I kind of took that. But I didn't do myself any disgrace. We got fight of the year. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, when I look back at it, no, definitely not really. And then it's a bit of a source. Like we see him obviously he got knocked out, didn't he? And you think, where did you kind of go wrong? Because I honestly thought Shaq would just outbox Richards, to be honest. But he seemed to really step up to the mark to me, to be honest. So it just shows you that stylistically anything can happen in a fight. Because previous to that was Chad got a draw with Richards, who I don't think he won a round against Shaq. So it's a strange one, really, isn't it? So yeah, I don't regret. I no regrets because I've mixed it with top names and big names, and my losses have only come from top kids. So I can't really say that I regret a thing. No, not really.
Dec, I know you said you'd love the chance to fight Anthony Yarde again, but him out of the picture, is there anyone in particular who kind of also you'd like to kind of get back into the ring with? Not necessarily get back into the ring with, but face if you haven't faced them already?
No, anybody in that top 10, really. Anybody in the top 10. Well, all around the top 10. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter to me as long as it's a good fight. I'll be in there. I mean, at the minute, what a few people have been talked about is obviously a bit of like a Midland derby with Chad Sugden. I think we're both around the same level at the minute. There's been a few things said. Nothing between me and Chad personal, or even said between me and Chad personally. I don't know the guy, but I think it'd be great. I mean, I train in Newark. He changed out, and he lives in Newark, and we've got a lot of mutual friends. Well, a lot of people won't know us mutually. I think that'd be a great fight. But we both sell big tickets as well. So, are people going to want to put it on behind closed doors? How long is it going to be before crowds come back? And then that's a great TV fight, with the crowds back. And so it's one of them, really. It's bittersweet. So we'll see. But that's a fight I would like. And I think that's a fight for both of us. What's great. We're both at similar stage in our career. Go away. Got my lad here. 2 seconds. Yeah, I think, that to me is a good fight. But we'll see. Like I say, I'd love another crack at Yarde, but that's never going to happen.
That is an interesting. We will come on to Yarde in a second, Dec, but it's an interesting name, like Chad Sugden. Without any disrespect to him, he wouldn't have kind of crossed my own mind simply because of the fighters you faced so far. Have you had any interactions with Chad about a possible fight at all?
Yeah, he's been mentioned to him and put on because I think his dad manages him. If I'm not correct, I think he does. So he's put towards him, and then it was after one of the Pitters' fights. Obviously, he's been beat by Pitters. I was beat by Pitters, and then it kind of got. He's got. To be fair, you can't. I'm not knocking the kid at all. I don't. I just want the fight because I think it's a great fight. I think we're both at a similar stage in our career. It's nothing personal. I don't know the lad, but I just think it's a really even matchup. We're very similar stylistically as well, and I think it just gel well. So yeah, it's just a name that keeps popping up to me, especially with me training Newark, and people must be saying it to him. So, well, I know they are. So it's somewhat was. So hopefully a little bit of brewing, and I think it'd be good. But I do understand. We both do sell well, and you know what I mean. And I've heard in an interview by his dad saying they don't necessarily need me in their kind of plan, which I think is a bit daft. But I don't know. We'll see. But I would like that fight. Yeah, I'd like that fight.
Moving on to Anthony Yarde, past opponent of yours. He lost to a fellow past opponent of yours in Lyndon Arthur at the end of last year. What were your thoughts on that fight, Dec?
It planned out exactly how I thought it would. Said before in all my interviews, I got asked, Lyndon will win it on the jab. That's what he did. He won it with one hand. He won it quite easy as far as I was concerned. I mean, caught him in the last round, but apart from that, I think even if you watch mine and Lyndon's fight and watch him and Yarde's fight, there's not really much difference apart from that last round. Really, when you break it down, he didn't really do much until like you got to the later rounds, and then he realised I think he needed to catch the fight up, and he did. He did switch up, to be fair, but he should have done that from like round 4, round 5. So yeah, I think it went exactly the way I planned it, to be honest.
Are you surprised at how well Lyndon was able to box, knowing that from what we saw, his right hand was effectively out of play for the majority of the fight?
Yeah. I mean, but then, yeah, and then there was a time in the fight where I think they picked up on it, and then he bammed him straight with a right hand. I thought, but yeah, fair play.
On the back of that fight, we saw in the post-fight interview, there was both at the time said that they'd be happy for a rematch. Would you be interested in seeing a rematch?
I don't think Lyndon needs it. Why does he need it? He was a champion going into that. I don't understand why there's a rematch clause in it. Like, why? It's strange. There's a rematch clause between me and Pitters, but they vacated the English and it was no more. So that I think was. I hope that's what happens because Lyndon deserves a shot at bigger things. You know what I mean? He's done his way. He's done it. He's come through the small hall shows. You know what I mean? He's come through. He's done, and yeah, I think he deserves not a rematch. I think he's proved he were above that fight. I think it could be a very different fight. The rematch. I wouldn't like to call it a rematch, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think I don't think he should take the rematch. I wouldn't take the rematch.
On the back of the fight as well, we saw a kind of again a lot of people coming out and questioning the working relationship of Anthony Yarde and Tunde Ajayi and whether Anthony would be better suited moving elsewhere. Do you think that would be a wise move for Anthony, or do you think he'd be better suited staying with Tunde?
The thing is, he's got loyalties to him because they've got this thing what they've built together, this lies in the camp and all that. You know what I mean? And it's to anybody else, it's quite cringy, which obviously I found myself. But and they've got this thing going on. It must be Yarde is probably wanting to move on, but in the back of his head, you can tell he is quite a low guy, and you're thinking it must. It's a bad. I feel for him really in that position because he wouldn't have really got to where he's got to without Tunde giving him the time and kind of getting him to where he is. But then at the same time, he just I don't know. At times he sounds clueless. You know, in the it's not just me saying that. A lot of people said that. Do you know what I mean? You hear it, and he just sounds lost at times, and it just feels like you took him as far as you could take him, and don't necessarily get rid of him. You know, full stop. You can keep him in the camp. You know what I mean? And he can be there, and he can still be part of this hype thing he's got going on. If he wants to keep his face in the frame, that's fine. But you've got to get somebody else with, somebody who's been there and done it, somebody who's experienced at the top level. And I think that's what he needs. And I think he knows that. He will know that, but he's got to approach it in the right way. So yeah, in a way, I hope they do keep Tunde in and about the camp, but it's definitely time to move on or look at different options. Definitely.
And Dec, you said for you yourself, you'd love that opportunity to rematch Anthony Yarde. If that opportunity was presented to you, what would you do differently this time round?
I didn't do nothing really wrong at the start. Like, you know what I mean? It was nip and tuck. I was only down by 1 round by BT, I believe, and just got caught. But I got caught balancing it a little bit. And I thought I'd take the knee, and up until that, I was winning the round anyway. If you watch it, I was winning the round, so I just took the knee. I thought it was logic boxing, you know what I mean? And yeah, I definitely won't be taking knees in it. Take that. But yeah, and I won't change nothing. What we was doing was working, doubling up the jab, and I believe it showed a little blueprint how to beat him as well. Because yeah, all Lyndon did was very similar, but 10 tiles. Lyndon's jabs, it's dynamite. So he couldn't miss with the jab. You know what I mean? And yeah, it was a big thing that.
Just want to touch on another fight that happened at the end of last year. We briefly touched on it earlier. Peters and Richards. Just reflecting on that one for me, Dec, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock of that for me, to be honest. But Peter seemed to hold his feet a lot more. I found kind of went out for a fight in some rounds, which was a bit strange. So yeah, whether if he did it again, he could adapt. That'll prove how good of a fight he is. But it'd be interesting. I'd like to see the rematch of that. I don't think it'll happen straight out, but yeah, I'd be interested in that.
Well, Dec, we will leave it there, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day, because I know your son's just come wandering back into the room to annoy his father. I appreciate your time, but final word to your son. In fact, sorry, I can't let you go yet. Kelly Avanesian, obviously you mentioned David Avanesian, a cammate of yours. Tell your son I'm sorry for disturbing you briefly here, but
homeschooling, it's a nightmare.
Talk to me about obviously David's reaction to the news that his fight with Josh Kelly was postponed once again.
Yeah, I mean, I only know through what obviously Carl's told me, and it must be terrible for the guy. You know what I mean? What's his third time now? Third time. So yeah, but hopefully they said it's on. I've heard whispers about Monaco, so yeah, we'll see. Well, yeah, it's a good fight, very interesting fight that, because stylistically, each each style should beat that style. Do you know what I mean? Like Kelly's style should beat Davies, and Davies should beat Kelly. So it's all about who gets it right on the night. And I think it'll take a while for David to get into his groove, but once he gets into his groove and he takes a few, feels for it, then I think it'll get very interesting.
All right, Dec, now I can leave you to enjoy your evening with your family. I appreciate your time. Thank you for your time as always. Thanks to Beats Boxing Social.
Thank you. Appreciate it.